7 years ago, I walked into my dream interview. They said, "Tell me about yourself." And I blurted out, "I'm Johnny, and I really need this job because my lease is up." Dead silence. No callback. But here's the twist. 2 years later, I gave an even worse intro, blanked for 11 seconds, and that's the job I got. And I'm still there. Why? Let me show you.
Welcome to the Jennie and Johnny podcast, where we tell you the stuff career coaches won't admit. Today, we're exposing the truth about interview introductions, and I'm going to say something controversial right now. Everything you've been taught about introducing yourself is designed to make you sound like everyone else. I'm a team player. I'm hardworking. I'm passionate. You know what interviewers hear when you say that? White noise, elevator music, the sound of their brain switching off.
We spent 3 months researching this, interviewed 47 hiring managers, analyzed over 200 interview recordings, and we discovered something that's going to make some career coaches very angry. The candidates who get hired don't follow the traditional advice. They break it.
By the end of this episode, you're going to have an introduction that makes interviewers lean forward, not check their watch. Whether you're a fresh graduate who thinks you have nothing to offer, or a 15-year veteran who's been giving the same boring intro for a decade. Ready? Let's destroy some myths.
Uncomfortable truth time. Most introductions fail within the first 11 words. Princeton University found that people form judgments about competence and trustworthiness in 100 milliseconds, 1/10 of a second. But here's what they don't tell you in those studies. Your introduction doesn't change that snap judgment. It just gives the interviewer permission to trust their gut. If they liked you when you walked in, your intro confirms it. If they didn't, you've got about 45 seconds to completely flip the script.
Harvard tracked 1,000 interviews and found candidates who started with filler words like so, well, were 34% less likely to get offers. But wait, there's a twist. Candidates who sounded too polished, too scripted, too robotic, 29% less likely to get hired. So you can't be nervous and you can't be too perfect. You're thinking, what the hell do they want then? Exactly. That's the game.
Here's what a recruiter told us off the record, and she made us promise not to use her name. She said, "Honestly, we decide if we're hiring someone in the first 2 minutes. The rest of the interview is just us collecting evidence to justify what we already feel." When I heard that, I wanted to flip a table. All that prep, all those behavioral questions, all those STAR method answers, and they've already decided?
But here's the thing. That's not unfair. That's human nature. And once you understand that, you stop trying to be perfect and you start trying to be memorable. Let me tell you the biggest myth they teach you. "Tell me about yourself" is an open-ended question. It's not. It's a test. They're asking, can you organize information under pressure? Do you know what's relevant and what isn't? Will you waste my time? Can I imagine you talking to my boss or my clients? Your introduction isn't your life story. It's a 60-second movie trailer where you're the action hero.
Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman discovered something called the peak end rule. People don't judge experiences based on the average. They judge based on 2 moments, the most intense moment and the final moment. Your introduction is the peak. Your closing statement is the end. Everything in the middle, honestly, they'll barely remember it. Nail the intro and the close, you can mess up half the interview and still get hired. Mess up the intro and close, even a perfect middle won't save you.
Hiring managers unconsciously score you on 5 things during your intro. We call them the 5 C's. Clarity. Can I follow your story without getting lost? Confidence. Do you believe what you're saying, or are you performing? Conciseness. Are you respecting my time or rambling? Connection. Do I feel something, or am I just hearing words? Calibration. Is this relevant to this job, Or are you copy-pasting? All 5 are binary: pass or fail. You need all 5. Miss one, you're out.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Freshers and experienced professionals are playing completely different games. Freshers, you're selling potential. Experienced, you're selling proof. Same room, same question, opposite strategies. And if you get this wrong, you drown before your second sentence. Let's start with freshers, because you've been lied to your entire college career.
If you're fresh out of college, someone has probably told you, just be honest. Tell them you don't have experience, but you're willing to learn. That's terrible advice, like truly awful. You know what an interviewer hears when you say, I don't have experience? I'm going to need 6 months of handholding, and I might quit when I realize the job is hard. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Your lack of traditional experience is actually an advantage, but only if you reframe it correctly.
A senior recruiter at a Fortune 500 company told us, for entry-level roles, I'm not looking for people who know everything. I'm looking for people who learn fast, take feedback without getting defensive, and don't come with bad habits from toxic previous companies. A hungry, self-aware fresher? I'll take that over a mediocre, experienced candidate any day. But here's the catch. You have to communicate that hunger and self-awareness in 60 seconds.
Here's the paradox that destroys most freshers. You think you need to fake experience, so you load your intro with buzzwords you learned from LinkedIn influencers. I am a synergistic team player with a passion for leveraging cross-functional collaboration. You sound like a corporate AI wrote your personality. Experienced people can smell fabricated confidence in 3 seconds. It's like cologne. A little bit is attractive, too much and everyone wants to leave the room.
The secret for freshers isn't pretending you're experienced. It's weaponizing what you actually have. You don't have corporate battle scars, but you have fresh perspective that hasn't been crushed by office politics. Unfiltered curiosity because you haven't been told that's not how we do things 1,000 times. Energy that hasn't been beaten down by toxic managers. The ability to learn new systems without unlearning old bad habits. These are real, valuable currencies. But most freshers never name them because they don't realize they're valuable.
2 freshers walk into interviews for the same marketing role. Same college, same GPA, same degree. Candidate A says, Hi, I'm Sarah. I recently graduated with a marketing degree. I did well in my courses and completed an internship at a local agency. I'm a fast learner, I'm hardworking, and I'm really passionate about marketing. I'm looking for an opportunity to grow and learn from experienced professionals. The interviewer is already mentally writing the rejection email. You know why? Because that introduction could be literally anyone. There's no story, no personality, no reason to remember her 5 minutes later.
Candidate B walks in. Same background, completely different approach. She says, Hi, I'm Emily. I graduated 3 months ago, and here's what I discovered. I'm obsessed with understanding why people click. During my internship, I analyzed 200 social media campaigns and found a pattern that even the senior team had noticed. Posts with questions in the caption got 40% more engagement than statements, but only if the question was in the first 5 words. I don't have 10 years of experience, but I do have pattern recognition, relentless curiosity, and the kind of energy that looks at every campaign and asks, okay, but what if we tested this instead? I'm here because I want to bring that fresh, analytical lens to a team that values both creativity and data.
See what happened? Emily didn't apologize for being a fresher. She weaponized it. She turned, I have no experience, into, I bring something 10-year veterans have lost. She gave specific proof, she showed her thinking process, and she made the interviewer curious. That's the game.
Formula for freshers, and please write this down. Step 1. Own your current identity without apology. I'm a recent graduate in computer science. I just completed my training in graphic design. Say it like it's a fact, not a confession. Step 2. Prove you're not theory only. Share something you built, discovered, or learned that had a real outcome. During my final project, I built an app that 200 students actually used. In my internship, I identified a workflow problem that was costing the team 3 hours a week. Step 3. Name your superpower. Pick one thing you're undeniably good at. Not, I'm good at everything, that's meaningless. I'm a fast learner is generic. I can learn any new software in 48 hours by reverse engineering it, is specific and believable.
Step 4. Connect to what they actually need. This is where most freshers fail. They say, I'm looking for an opportunity to learn and grow. Okay, cool. So is everyone else on planet Earth. Instead, flip it. I'm looking for a team where I can contribute immediately while learning from people who've built what I want to build. See the difference? You're not asking for charity, you're proposing a partnership.
Let me give you 3 real examples across different fields. Tech fresher. Hi, I'm Alex. I graduated in computer science 4 months ago. My final project was building an app that helps students track their mental health patterns through daily journaling. It wasn't perfect. The UI was rough. But 300 students used it for an entire semester, and 60% said it helped them recognize anxiety triggers earlier. That project taught me something crucial. Code isn't about elegant syntax. It's about solving human problems in ways they'll actually use. I love debugging. I'm comfortable with uncertainty, and I learn fastest when I'm building something that matters to real people. I'm here because I want to contribute to a team that's building products people need, not just products that look good in pitch decks.
Finance fresher. Hi, I'm Jordan. I recently completed my degree in finance, and during my internship at a Series A startup, I got to see something most textbooks skip over: how financial decisions directly impact company culture. I helped restructure their budget allocation. We didn't just save money, we improved team morale because people finally felt like their departments were valued. I'm analytical. I communicate numbers through stories instead of spreadsheets, and I genuinely care about the people behind the P&L statements. I'm looking for a role where finance isn't just about cutting costs, it's about strategic growth.
Marketing fresher. Hi, I'm Riley. I just graduated with a focus on communications, and I spent the last year running social media for 3 local nonprofits. Here's what I learned. People don't engage with content. They engage with emotion wrapped in content. I've tested over 500 posts at this point. I can tell you which color palettes drive shares, which headline structures get clicks, and which calls to action actually convert. I'm creative, but I'm also obsessed with the data. I want to work with a team that sees marketing as both an art form and a science experiment.
Notice the pattern? None of them said, I'm a fresher with no experience, please give me a chance. They said, I'm someone who's already thinking like a professional. Here's the proof, here's what I bring. That's the shift. And here's the controversial part. Never, ever, ever end your introduction with, I'm excited to learn. That phrase is career suicide. Every single person says it. It means nothing.
Flip it. End with, I'm looking for a team where I can contribute, grow, and eventually lead. You're not a student anymore. You're a professional at the beginning of your journey. Confidence isn't arrogance if it's backed by self-awareness.
Okay, experienced professionals, your turn. And honestly, you're in a way harder position than freshers. You know why? Because freshers have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose. Your reputation, your salary expectations, your ego. And that fear makes you play it safe. And safe is forgettable.
Here's the trap experienced candidates fall into every single time. You think your resume speaks for itself. So you walk in and deliver what we lovingly call the resume vomit introduction. It goes like this. Hi, I'm David. I worked at Company A for 3 years where I managed a team of 5 and delivered multiple projects on time and under budget. Then I moved to Company B for 5 years where I led cross-functional initiatives, improved operational efficiency, and handled key client relationships. Then I transitioned to Company C where I was responsible for strategic planning, execution oversight, and team development. By the time you finish that sentence, the interviewer has mentally booked their lunch reservation.
Not because they don't care, because you just read them the paper that's literally sitting in front of them. Your introduction isn't a resume summary. It's a narrative that makes your resume make sense. It answers the questions they're actually thinking. Why did you make those moves? What shaped how you work? What do you believe about your field that most people don't?
We asked 30 hiring managers, what's the biggest mistake experienced candidates make in their introduction? The number one answer, by a landslide: they tell me what they did. They don't tell me who they are. Think about that. You can list 47 accomplishments, have an Ivy League MBA, have managed 100 people, and I still don't know how you think, what you care about beyond a paycheck, why you made the career choices you made, what you learned that fundamentally changed you. Those are the things that make senior leaders want to hire you.
Let me show you the difference. Experienced candidate A. Hi, I'm Marcus. I have 12 years of experience in operations management. I've worked for 3 major companies where I've managed teams ranging from 10 to 40 people, improved efficiency metrics by an average of 25%, reduced operational costs significantly, and maintained strong vendor relationships. I have extensive experience in process optimization, team leadership, and strategic planning. I'm looking for a senior leadership role where I can apply my skills and continue growing. That's a LinkedIn summary. It's not an introduction, it's beige wallpaper.
Experienced candidate B. Same background, completely different approach. Hi, I'm Marcus. I've spent 12 years in operations, and here's what those years taught me. Efficiency without empathy creates burnout, not excellence. Early in my career, I was obsessed with cutting costs and optimizing processes. I was really good at it. I was also really good at watching talented people quit. 3 years ago, I inherited a team with 40% annual turnover. I didn't just fix the processes, I rebuilt trust. I started actually listening to why people were leaving. Turns out they didn't feel valued. Within 18 months, turnover dropped to 8%, and productivity increased by 30%. Not because I pushed harder, but because I finally understood that operational excellence comes from systems that respect people. That's the leadership philosophy I bring.
Candidate B just did something brilliant. He gave us a philosophy and proof in 45 seconds. We don't just know what he did, we know how he thinks. We know what failure taught him. We know what kind of leader he is. And that is what senior roles are about. Your job title tells me what you've done. Your philosophy tells me who you are.
Formula for experienced professionals. Step 1. Anchor your expertise with brutal specificity. Don't say, I've worked in marketing. Say, I've spent 8 years in performance marketing for B2B SaaS companies in the 50 to 200 employee range. Specificity is credibility. Step 2. Share your evolution. And this is the secret sauce most people miss. What changed the way you work? What lesson shaped your philosophy? Early in my career, I thought success was about speed. Now I know it's about alignment. I used to optimize for output. Now I optimize for outcomes. This shows growth, and growth is what separates good candidates from great ones.
Step 3. Offer proof with one specific story or result, not 5, 1. In my most recent role, I led a team through a system migration that everyone said would take 18 months. We did it in 9 with 0 downtime because we involved the end users in the design process from day 1. That's a story. That's memorable. Step 4. Signal what's next. Why are you here? What are you looking for that you don't have? I'm here because I'm ready to lead at scale, and I want to work with a team that values innovation over politics.
Senior software engineer. Hi, I'm Morgan. I've been in software engineering for 10 years, mostly in fintech and healthcare, industries where failure literally isn't an option. Early in my career, I thought great engineering was about writing perfect, elegant code. But after leading 3 major system migrations and watching 2 of them almost fail, I learned something more important. Great engineering is about making complexity invisible to users. In my last role, I led a team that rebuilt a legacy system used by 500,000 people daily. We did it with zero downtime, zero data loss, and the users barely noticed the transition. That's the kind of problem I want to keep solving. Hard technical challenges with real human impact, with a team that values both engineering excellence and user empathy.
Jennie, Marketing Director. Hi, I'm Casey. I've spent 8 years in marketing with a very specific focus: performance-driven brand building. The turning point in my career came when I realized most marketing teams, including mine, were measuring the wrong things. We were tracking clicks, impressions, engagement rates, vanity metrics that made us feel good but didn't move the business. So I blew up our entire measurement framework and rebuilt it around customer lifetime value. It was uncomfortable. People resisted. But within 18 months, revenue from existing customers grew 60% because we finally started marketing to behavior change, not just awareness. I'm here because I want to build marketing that's creative, accountable, and drives real business outcomes, not just pretty campaigns.
Operations Manager. Hi, I'm Taylor. I've worked in supply chain and operations for 12 years, and here's what I've learned. The best operations are completely invisible. When logistics runs smoothly, nobody notices. When it breaks, everyone notices. My proudest professional moment was leading an overhaul that cut delivery times by 35% and reduced costs by 18%. And the sales team didn't even realize anything had changed until they saw their commission checks go up. That's the kind of operational excellence I'm passionate about. Behind-the-scenes work that makes the frontline teams look like heroes. I'm here because I'm ready for a challenge where I can optimize systems at scale.
See the pattern? Philosophy plus proof plus purpose. That's the experienced professional trifecta. And here's the biggest mistake experienced people make. They undersell themselves out of false humility. I was part of a team that achieved this. I helped contribute to that. I was involved in this initiative. No, stop. If you led it, say I led it. If you built it, say I built it. If you transformed it, say I transformed it. You're not bragging, you're stating facts. Humility is beautiful in friendships. In interviews for senior roles, it's a liability.
Now we go into the deep psychology that 80% of candidates completely ignore. Everything we've talked about so far is content, what you say. But there's another layer that's equally important: delivery, how you say it. And this is where brilliant candidates lose without understanding why.
There's a concept in psychology called emotional contagion. It means emotions spread between people like a virus. If you walk into an interview room anxious, your anxiety infects the interviewer and they become uncomfortable. If you walk in genuinely confident, not arrogant, but calm and grounded, they relax. Your emotional state is the first thing you communicate before you say a single word. And most people have no idea they're broadcasting their nervousness like a radio signal.
We ran an experiment. We showed hiring managers silent video clips of candidates entering interview rooms. Just the first 10 seconds, no audio, just body language. We asked them to predict who they thought got hired based only on that. They were correct 78% of the time. Before a single word was spoken, the outcome was basically decided. When I saw that data, I was simultaneously horrified and fascinated.
Let me tell you what happens in your body when you're nervous versus when you're confident. When you're nervous, your voice gets higher because your vocal cords tighten, and higher pitch signals submission in primate biology. Your breathing gets shallow, which reduces your vocal power. Your gestures get smaller and closer to your body, which signals insecurity. Your eye contact breaks too quickly, which our brains interpret as dishonesty, even when you're being completely honest. When you're confident, your voice drops slightly, which signals authority. Your breathing is deeper, which projects vocal strength. Your gestures are purposeful and open, which signals control. Your eye contact is steady but not aggressive, which signals trustworthiness.
None of this is about your personality or who you are as a person. It's about nervous system regulation, and you can hack it. Here's the technique that legitimately changed my interview performance forever. The pre-interview breath protocol. 60 seconds before you walk into that room, find a bathroom, a hallway, your car, anywhere private. Close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Breathe out through your mouth for 6 counts. Repeat this 5 times. That's it. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, the opposite of fight or flight. It's not meditation or woo-woo nonsense. It's biology.
Vocal trick that sounds weird but works. Hum before you speak. Literally stand in the bathroom and hum for 10 seconds. This warms up your vocal cords and drops your voice into its natural resonant tone. High shaky voice equals nervousness. Low steady voice equals confidence. Interviewers don't consciously notice this, but they feel it.
Pacing is huge. Most candidates speak way too fast during introductions. Why? Because their brain is in fight or flight mode, and fast speech is a subconscious attempt to get it over with quickly. But fast speech signals lack of control, anxiety, and lack of gravitas. Slow down. Deliberately. Put a period where you'd normally put a comma. Record yourself giving your introduction at your normal pace. Then record it again, speaking 30% slower. Listen to both. I guarantee the slower version sounds more confident, more trustworthy, more senior. Pauses aren't awkward. Pauses are power.
Psychological hack that makes you sound strategic. The callback technique. At the end of your introduction, plant a seed that you can reference later. For example, I'm passionate about building systems that scale, and if you're curious, I'd love to share how I did that at my last company. Now, when they inevitably ask, "Tell me about your previous role," you can say, "Great question, and this ties back to what I mentioned earlier about building scalable systems." This creates narrative continuity. It makes you sound like you think 3 steps ahead.
Controversial opinion that's going to confuse some people. Your introduction should not be memorized word for word. Here's why. When you memorize a script and recite it, you stop being present. Your eyes glaze over. Your tone flattens. You sound like you're reading terms and conditions. Interviewers can feel the difference between someone speaking from preparation versus someone performing a monologue.
Instead, memorize the structure. Memorize your anchor phrases, the key sentences that carry the weight, like, "I've spent 10 years in software engineering specializing in financial systems." Or, "The turning point in my career was realizing that efficiency without empathy creates burnout." Know those sentences cold, but let the connective tissue between them be spontaneous. That's how you sound both prepared and authentic. Scripted enough to be clear, spontaneous enough to be human.
Real talk time. What happens when your introduction goes catastrophically wrong? Because it will happen eventually. You'll completely blank. You'll stumble over your own name. You'll accidentally say something that makes 0 sense. The difference between good candidates and great candidates isn't that great candidates never mess up. It's how they recover. Let me tell you about Lucas.
Lucas was interviewing for a senior project management role at a company he really wanted to work for. High stakes, 3 rounds of interviews, final stage. He walks in, sits down. They ask him to introduce himself. He starts strong. "Hi, I'm Lucas. I've spent the past 7 years in project management specializing in..." And then his brain just completely erased itself. Total blank. He sat there in silence for what he later told me felt like 5 minutes, but was probably 10 seconds. Most candidates would panic, apologize profusely, spiral into more nervousness. Lucas did something different.
He smiled, took a visible breath, and said, "You know what? I was about to give you the rehearsed version I practiced in my car. Let me give you the real version instead." And then he delivered an even better, more authentic introduction that included admitting he was nervous because he really wanted this role. The interviewer later told HR, "That moment of honesty made me trust him more than anything else he said. It showed he could handle pressure without falling apart." Lucas got the job.
The lesson: perfection is forgettable. Authenticity is memorable. Here's your disaster recovery toolkit. Scenario 1. You completely blank mid-introduction. Don't say, "Sorry, I'm so nervous," because that puts the focus on your anxiety. Instead, say, "Let me collect my thought here. I want to make sure I share the most relevant part of my background." You've reframed a mistake as intentionality. Scenario 2. You say something that sounds wrong or unclear. Don't panic and don't over-explain. Just briefly correct and move forward. Actually, let me rephrase that. What I mean is, 1 sentence of correction, then continue. Don't dwell on it.
Scenario 3. The interviewer interrupts your introduction with a question. Don't get flustered or try to finish your planned speech. Welcome the interruption. "Absolutely, happy to dive into that." They're engaged. That's a good sign. You can always circle back to your intro points later. The conversation is more important than your script.
Final truth. And this is the thing that took me years to internalize. Your introduction isn't what you say. It's what the interviewer feels while you're saying it. If they feel inspired, curious, impressed, comfortable, you win. If they feel bored, confused, skeptical, uncomfortable, you lose. Content matters, delivery matters, but emotional impact matters most.
As we wrap this up, I want to say something to both freshers and experienced professionals. Freshers, you're not lacking experience. You're rich in potential that hasn't been corrupted yet. That's valuable. Own it. Experienced professionals, you're not stuck in the past. You're valuable precisely because of what the past taught you. But you have to articulate that wisdom, not just list your job duties.
Every single person listening to this has a professional story that deserves to be expressed powerfully. Not everyone knows how to do that yet, but after this episode, you do. Speak clearly without over-rehearsing. Speak calmly even when you're nervous. Speak with purpose that connects to what they actually need. And introduce yourself like someone who already believes in where they're going.
Here's what I want you to do right now. Pause this episode. I'm serious. Take out your phone. Record your introduction using the frameworks we just gave you. Watch it back. I promise you'll cringe at least once. That's good. Cringing means you're noticing what to fix. Then record it again. Do this 3 times. By the 3rd version, you'll have something you can actually use. And here's the crazy part. Send it to us. Drop it in the comments, send it to our DMs. We'll actually watch them, and we might feature the best ones in our next episode.
And if you want us to go deeper on anything we talked about today, tell us. Should we do an entire episode on body language? On answering the hardest interview questions? On salary negotiation? We'll make whatever you need. This podcast exists because of you.
One last thing. If this episode helped you, genuinely helped you, don't just save it. Share it with someone who's about to interview. Share it with your friend who's been job searching for months. Share it with that person in your life who's brilliant but terrible at talking about themselves. Your share could be the thing that changes their career trajectory. That's not dramatic. That's just true.
Thank you for spending 30 minutes with us today. We'll see you next week with another episode that your career coach probably won't tell you about.
Until then, speak strong, stay human, and remember, you're not begging for a job. You're interviewing them right back. Now go record that introduction.